Hey guys, Luxker here. It's been over a month since Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was shown off on the Nintendo Direct, and I'm still trying to get over it. I know a lot of the fans have probably watched the trailer at least several dozen times. But what I constantly notice when people talk about this announcement is how much we know based on several other factors that are beyond this trailer. From details about the main characters to what we know about the land of Ionios, to the people who are working on the game. In this monthly series of videos, I will talk about what we know so far for each month, as well as some of my theories on what we know of on Xenoblade 3. Also, this video contains spoilers for all of Xenoblade 1 and 2. Please be advised that all videos in this series going forward will have some spoilers to these games. So if you want to see more Xenoblade 3 content on this channel, please consider subscribing and leaving a like or comment on this video. It really helps to show that you want to see more of this content such as this one. To get started, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, which is the announcement trailer. Now I know so many Xenoblade content creators have already done an analysis of this trailer, and they get into further detail on it. So I won't make another analysis just on this trailer alone, but I will get into many points from this trailer and use them to talk about what we know so far, such as the ongoing war with Agnus and Keves, as well as some points that are brought up from the Xenoblade Japanese Twitter account. There's also the introductory message made by Tetsuya Takahashi, but I'm pretty sure you all have read that bit by bit. Takahashi mentions some people who are working on this game alongside Takahashi, but I will also get into the people we know are working on Xenoblade 3 at the end of this video. So let's get into what we know of about the main characters so far. From the Keves side, we have Noah, a soldier that bears a red sword that is very similar to the replica Monado that Shulk uses in Future Connected. The Xenoblade Twitter account seems to point out his appearance and pose as like a samurai, which honestly feels very cool because we want to see more protagonists have this eloquent style, and I wanted to see how the Xenoblade developers use this eloquence in combat. Like, will Noah be swift with his attacks while also dealing a lot of damage at the same time? He is also a Keves Offseer, which in this world sends off soldiers who have died on the battlefield. It seems like during his time as an Offseer, he saw many of his friends die during the war, which led him to question why there even is fighting with the two warring sides to begin with. It seems like Noah already is a more interesting protagonist to me, simply because of his role in the war, and how he's trying to find his answer as to why the nations have to keep battling each other. Reminds me a bit of why Shulk questions during the story of Xenoblade 1 on why the Bionis and the Mechanis have to keep on fighting. Next on the Agnus side is Mio, a soldier that uses twin rings to battle, similar to the weapon class when you use common animal blades, or this meaningless cat, have equipped to a driver and use their weapons in battle. The Twitter account points out that she is very agile and has very distinct ears. Many people, including myself in the first trailer, thought this was Nia at first, but we know now that she clearly isn't Nia because of her battle style being different, with Mio focused on agility and Nia focused on healing with the twin rings. Also, I want to point out that Mio is the only character that we know that is 19, which we will get to that later. She is also an Offseer, this time for Agnus, and compared to Noah's role as an Offseer, she has more to draw others' aspirations, and she seems more concerned about herself as well. I am not exactly sure what this ever means as being an Offseer, but because the tweet mentions that she is serious yet gentle, it makes me think that her side in the war is very important to Agnus, especially whereas to Noah, it is more about why he has to side with Keves, as shown at the beginning few lines when Noah fights Mio in the announcement trailer. But then we go on to the main theme of the game, which is fighting to live and living to fight. Noah wants to keep living, but also wonders why this is the case all the time, while Mio still abides by this philosophy. Although I feel as the story goes on, Mio realizes this really isn't the case because she sees people die on the Agnus side while she originally bat an eye at them. Both Noah and Mio don't know when their comrades lose their lives anyways, which is why both are Offseers, and as this tweet mentions, that the song for the departed are both beautiful yet sorrowful. I really want to see more of Mio though. We know so little about how she feels about the war that I just feel like she's just another cat girl. Not saying that she doesn't have potential, but we got so little to base off of compared to Noah from the tweets we got from the Xenoblade Twitter account. Our next main character on the Keves side is Lanz, another Keves soldier who wields a sword that functions as a shield. He also is a reliable ally who fights for his friends alongside the battlefield. If this guy doesn't give any Ryan vibes, I don't know what else is. Now what's interesting about this tweet is Lanz is clearly of Machina race, but there are a few discrepancies about this. One is most obviously his age being 18, which is the same as Noah. In fact, Lanz has known Noah from childhood, which makes me believe that there has to be some kind of genetic mingling going on after the events of Xenoblade 1 and 2. The rest of the tweet doesn't describe more about him. It's that he chooses to protect his friends, even if he dies for it, which makes his friends worry about his reckless actions. This points back to the fighting to live and living to fight philosophy, even if it's just there for fluff. Personally, I think Lanz could be more interesting if we got to know more about his character, and not just some reckless dude who goes into war fighting for his friends, and coming back alive in the end. I want to see some real consequences with him. Next from the Agnus side is Sena, who uses a shield hammer from the weapon class used by Blades in Xenoblade 2. She is also 18 years old and works along with Mio in battle. She is described as having superhuman strength, and in the tweet, wondering why her hair is glowing like that. We can infer that Sena is a blade from the ether lines around her body, and the core crystal on her chest similar to the shape of core crystals on many blades from Xenoblade 2. Though being able to wield a weapon separately from a driver makes me believe, like Lanz, that blades over time became flesh eaters to inherit ages and have the ability to fight without a driver. Now, you all are probably asking me, how can Sena be a flesh eater? Her core crystal is in multicolors similar to what flesh eater core crystals look like in Xenoblade 2. And we can clearly see that Mio is a flesh eater based off what the colors of a core crystal look like. That's kind of a mystery right now that I can't explain much, I'll be honest. And it might be possible that she's Mio's blade, but the tweets don't go into detail as to if she's her blade or someone else's blade. Plus, the whole age thing with blades is just a whole new topic entirely, and I don't even want to try to go into that. Although it's said in the next tweet that Sena treats Mio as an older sister because she knew Mio for pretty much her entire life, I don't know if a freaking 1-year-old can even bond with a core crystal and just have a blade like that. But I digress. Maybe both Mio and Sena were raised together by someone we don't even know yet. That's probably what I'm leaning towards, honestly. She also enjoys muscle training, which, unless Sena looks like this, it's honestly really hard to believe that. The tweet also describes her as having a cheerful and energetic personality, but is also shy and lacks confidence about herself around others. Pretty relatable, to be honest. I will say, out of the whole cast that we know so far, Sena is pretty underrated. She carries a lot of potential about her, and getting to know her backstory about how she hasn't aged despite being a blade is something I want to be more fascinated with these characters. Also, where are those muscles, Sena? I need to see some strength if you're gonna go into muscle training. Our next character from the Keves side is Eunie, a Keves soldier who uses a weapon called the Gun Rod, a staff that functions as a staff and a gun at the same time. Gee, great name for a weapon. She is also, again, 18, and is a childhood friend of Noah and Lanz. She also excels at healing in battle, given that she wields two weapons at the same time that we know from Xenoblade 1, having healing properties when Charla and Melia use their respective arts in battle. She also has wings on her head, which points her to being a half-Homs, half-Hyentia. But that doesn't make much sense because half-Homs, half-Hyentia don't even look like that at 18. Just look at Melia, for example, who is pretty much an adult and future connected, but has lived for 89 years. So there is obviously some drastic evolution going on after 100 years from these games to make Lanz and Eunie look like that just at 18 years old. Eunie has sort of a sharp personality to some people and comes off as rude and insolent. but is rather well educated and respects Noah, while also seems to get along well with Lanz, where they are more upfront compared to Noah. But she also has a strong sense of responsibility with her friends, which is nice to see that she won't be this cocky character all the time. Eunie by far is my favorite female character so far, and will likely be like that until we get to see more characters shown off in the coming months. Her personality and design really speak to me, despite all the main cast so far have perhaps the best strip from any character in the entire series. I can't wait to see what is in store for her going forward. The last main character we'll talk about is on the Agnus side, and that's Taion, a soldier who uses a paper-like weapon called a katashiro, which is a Japanese paper doll used as a talisman to perform self-purification rituals. In this case, they are used as a weapon blades can use in battle. Taion calls this weapon in Japanese mondo, but we don't know what it's called in English. He plays the tactician role, supporting his allies in battle, and wears glasses and a long orange scarf. Kind of gives me Akos and HB vibes, especially with those glasses. Taion also works alongside Mio and Sena, although I feel like he just joined up with them along the way during their part in the story. He has a cheeky personality, but he sometimes gets cautious and easily gets annoyed and impatient when he doesn't understand something. Not sure how this fits in with the whole philosophy of fighting to live and living to fight, when he doesn't do his job right and just throws a fit all over the place. Maybe that'll be something he can work on as the story progresses. Also, I forgot to mention that Taion is 18 years old once again. Taion is my favorite male protagonist. Like Sena, I feel like as this game goes on, he will become a very good character in general. Plus, I love his paper doll weapons. I wish paper can be just as deadly like that in real life. Now we are done with the characters, but now let's explore the world of Ionios, which is a land of the two warring nations Keves and Agnus. Not only that you can travel on foot like in the previous games, but there are finally more options for swimming, as well as traversing the sea using a boat. You can also grind on tightropes a la Sonic the Hedgehog, but it seems like it feels more like you're on a tightrope compared to how it was used in that one area in Xenoblade 2. These areas from what we've seen so far are very dynamic and are a step up from what we've seen from the previous entries, not including X. But these worlds seem to be the main focus of this game, which is what Monolith Soft are really good at. But what comes out as very striking are the lengths the two warring nations are going about whatever this war is going to be per se. What are the use of the mobile artillery weapons known in Japanese as the Iron Giants? There are apparently dozens of these things throughout Ionios, which contain the soldiers of their respective nations, and a place for living. There are also Iron Giants that serve as colonies for soldiers, which are numbered similarly to Colony 9 and 6 from Xenoblade 1. Some of the colonies have weapon manufacturing roles instead of just purely being combative, and I have to say, the designs of these look very cool, and I'm hoping that we can get different designs for these Iron Giants when more trailers start to come out. Next, we have the two Napon that many fans like to call the Napon versions of Rex and Pyra, which I think is just a stretch to be perfectly honest. The one on the left is called Riku, and carries an ether rifle and has thick eyebrows, while the one on the right is Manana, who carries a shield similar to what Poppy Alpha uses and a chef's hat for some reason. I think it's safe to say that these two Napon are going to be very important to the story overall, and just how Riku dresses in black and Nana dresses in white, respective to Keves and Agnus' colors. And also notice how their eyes are way different to what we've seen in Napon in the past. Again, there must be some kind of genetic inheritance going on here. There's so many characters in this game that just change their genes for whatever reason. Just give me answers, Takahashi! And now we have one of the characters that puzzled so many fans last month. Who is this character? The Xenoblade Twitter talks vaguely about how this mysterious man told Noah and the others that they're not enemies, and comes off as someone that we know more than what they lead on, as well as tells the group to head to a place called Sword March, a land pierced by a great sword. As many of you guys probably have pieced together by now though, this is Vandom. I mean, this game's version of Vandom. I know a lot of people theorize that this is either Rex or Zeke, but I just don't buy it now because there are so many outliers that have already been discussed. I don't want to dwell on this for too long, too. Plus, since this guy looks very similar to the deceased Vandom in Xenoblade 2, and since previous Xeno games also had a Van character that looked exactly the same with each entry, it makes sense that it would be Xenoblade 3's version of Vandom. And finally, we go to our final tweet from the Xenoblade Twitter last month, and that's the chart showing each character's relationship to each other, as well as the respective nations they're from. The Twitter account will be posting from time to time about new information, so I'm hopeful we get more information in the next month. There's really not much to say about this chart, but I will talk about what each country is advanced at now. Keves is specialized in machine and weapon technology, and is a more advanced civilization. It uses combat vehicles and small mobile weapons operated by the people riding them. They have black clothing and a mechanical style to them as well. The soldiers, which also include Noah and Eunie, carry around the technology that was also made by Shulk in Future Connected to power up his replica Monado, and it seems there is going to be a big connection with Xenoblade 1 in this nation. Meanwhile, Agnus is specialized in ether, described as a magical technology in this game. Their forces are made up of units who specialize in ether combat, and fight with small autonomous weapons. They wear white as their signature style. The soldiers seem to carry what looks like blade weapons such as chrome katanas and mega lances, which point to this nation having a strong connection with Xenoblade 2. I'll talk about the leaders of these separate nations in another video if there happens to not be a lot of substantial news in the next few months, because not only do these characters bear a lot of importance to the series, but to how they develop into these characters from the previous games. We all know what they are, but their mask tells them otherwise. Now we can get into the people who are working on Xenoblade 3 that we know of so far. For the main character designer, we have Masatsugu Saito, who was also the main character designer for Xenoblade 2, while Koichi Mukutani, also known as Choco, is also helping with some key artworks, but it's not shown off quite yet. These are pretty familiar artists who also worked on the Xeno series, and I can't wait to see more from the both of them. The composers are Yasunori Mitsuda, Manami Kiyota, Ace, Kenji Hiramatsu, and Miriam Abanasser. All have contributed some part of the Xeno series in the past. I really hope that Takahashi reveals more people that are working on this game, as Monolith Soft has grown substantially from when they worked on Xenoblade 2. And that's it! 1 month of Xenoblade 3 information we know about, and another month we shall go. It's going to be a wild ride these next few months, and I can't wait to see what more is in store for us, including more information about characters, locations, the battle system possibly, and so much more. I can't wait to share that all with you. Until next time everyone, see you on the other side!